I would be more excited about having this thing if 3 months haven't already passed since it released. But yeah, it's the Switch 2. Everyone's talking about it, everyone's been dunking on it for many different reasons, but I like it. And honestly, the reveal of it leading up to the direct for it felt like such a drag. But somehow the direct to the release felt very quick. Wait, yeah, that's how time works. And of course, the main thing most people with a Switch 2 are playing at this point is Deltarune and Mario Kart World. Now, it felt obvious that this would be the launch title considering how much Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold, blah blah blah, you already know about this, they teach you this in history class. What was quite unexpected, however, is what was added to this new Mario Kart. Excluding the obviously beautiful new art style and the unnecessarily high price tag, every track in this game is entirely interconnected in a world that you are able to explore. Similar to how some tracks in Double Dash are able to be seen in the background of other tracks, this one has all of them, just there, and you can go to all of them. And on top of that, there was a whole new mode in Knockout Tour, which is a battle royale of sorts, and new additions like manually transitioning from one track to another in Grand Prix, jumping, wall riding, rail grinding, plane mode instead of glider, and boat mode instead of going underwater. And doubling the amount of racers from the last game. Doubling. Which, due to these two new additions to races, causes a lot more chaos than there was before. And to compensate for that, the roster also gets larger, but instead of adding on to the already existing roster in 8 Deluxe, which is nearly perfect, they keep only some, give some of them new outfits, which can be unlocked by eating food from Yoshi's in the open world, which has to be the Mario equivalent to McDonald's, but ran by people who aren't assholes. Because look at this face and tell me he's an asshole. And let me tell you, they just be inviting anyone to this thing. They internally call these NPC racers, which doesn't make too much sense because NPC stands for non-playable character, but they're playable. They are mainly obstacles, so basically some Mario enemies, which includes Cataquack from Mario Sunshine, who hasn't been seen in a game in quite some time. That's really awesome. But also just other characters like Piantas, also from Sunshine, a cow, a snowman, Nabbit I guess counts, and yeah. No EGAD, no other Kongs, no one from the RPGs obviously. Kamek has been downgraded to an item, which is the same one that turns you into these guys to begin with, while Piranha Plant gets upgraded to a character. But also, no Metal Mario, no Gold Mario, no Tanuki Mario, but no Dr. Mario. No Koopalings either, but people are split on if that's a good thing or not. I don't know why. I like the costumes we got, but I think the complaint was that these were open slots. They are also open slots in this game, but we're just gonna ignore that. And they would have worked out better as alts, so we can have more room for characters we actually care about. But now that we got more characters, whether or not you care about them is up to you, I kinda miss having them as costumes. I just feel like they would have worked, especially for characters that have costumes in Tour, but not in this one, which is just weird, Pauline. Also, can someone explain to me why Wario's biker outfit isn't just the one from WarioWare? You guys acknowledge WarioWare. His pirate outfit literally acknowledges WarioWare. Wario's bike is in Mario Kart Wii! And how are you gonna add several enemies to the roster and not put Fuzzy in? Like, that's at least a top 5er, but for some reason, I'm gonna go more in depth on these, but this isn't exactly a review. It's more like a first impressions, without the first. Because at this point, I've played it way more than one time. I didn't expect Mario Kart World to feel too different from 8, considering that felt like the perfect formula at the time. Not slippery, not too exploitable, new items that will slightly change the meta, or lack thereof, but it very much is. The plane sections feel quite a bit different from the gliding, although mechanically similar, especially taking into consideration you can trick while flying to quickly change the direction you're going in. Speaking of doing tricks on it, you can do several tricks in the air now, which isn't going to change your boost power that much unlike the Sonic Racing games. I'll hold my opinion on that one. But it is pretty fun to do, and if you know how helpful tricking is when it comes to the direction of drifting, that does help for correction. Despite playing basically all there is, trying to jump and rail grind or jump and wall ride is still difficult for me, which is needed to do all the cool shit in the game. There are plenty of shortcuts and alternate paths that use them too. as well as using it to avoid items and jumping on people. Yeah, you can do that. So they're incentivizing it, and it isn't even that easy to do. And on the topic of jumping, the new boat mode, which I will say is a lot better than the underwater thing they had before. Shout out to Raveways. Well, I'm gonna keep that in, actually. They're both similar to just being on land, but when you're on the water, there are waves you can trick off of that are created from items that can explode or other obstacles. I find that very neat. I will say this is pretty great. Not only pretty great in the expression of the characters, but also the carts and bikes themselves. Like, the physics of the vehicles changed a lot. It tilts a lot more in every aspect, and I like that. Overall, yeah, the game feels a lot better. All the new mechanics, though a little tricky to get a hang of, opens the door for some amazing time trials for sure. I beat all the Grand Prix, and the tracks were pretty good. At least as much as I could play of them. Especially Dry Bones Burnout. Not just because I like Dry Bones, but because this straight up is an amazing track with so much tricking potential and alternate paths as well as its wonderful aesthetic. The new Bowser's Castle looks great with all the lightning, and this Rainbow Road is easily the best one. Without spoiling, so beautiful. All the other original courses are pretty okay too, and the retro tracks in this one are not only not relegated to the last 4 cups exclusively, but are also fairly different from the courses they were being based on. Wario Stadium and Sky High Sundae especially. One is actually good now, and the other is actually good now. Speaking of Wario Stadium, it and Toad's Factory are finally remade after years of asking. On top of that, some of the retro tracks got an extreme scenery overhaul. Some are more subtle, like DK Pass is a ski resort now, similar to a summit. Not as good, but... And Desert Hills replacing all of the attributes that made it infamous in the first place, but puts in the Moais from Mario Land in, so it's slightly excused. Same could be said about Shy Guy Bazaar. The most obvious ones are Choco Mountain being turned into a demolition derby of sorts, and Dino Dino Jungle becoming Jurassic Park. Even though dinosaurs still exist in Mario, they just kinda colonized the jungle for some reason. It feels like they're perfectly curated here to fit the world better, and even though there aren't any Super Circuit tracks, probably because they blew most of them in Tour and the Booster Course Pass that only exists because they couldn't develop a new Mario Kart for Switch 1 because its hardware was always ass, by the way. The choices they made were, I guess, not all great because Moo Moo Meadows again. Like, I get it, the cow, the meme, it's a good track too, and I can't complain this time because Toad's Factory is here, but come on, man. So the thing about Grand Prix is that you don't do a full 3 laps anymore. You only do that for the first track in the cup, and then every subsequent track you have to travel from the previous one to the next one. Some of the transitions to the next track are better than I expected. There are plenty that are just straight lines with only cars and whatever enemy that car has as obstacles. But there are also plenty of twists and turns and hills and valleys. I just wish we could actually experience the standard 3-lap Grand Prix normally, because it feels like you barely get to experience the track itself. I know the world is the main part of the game and probably the reason it's priced the way it is, and although I personally don't mind the transitions all that much, that's what free roam is for, which we'll get to in a sec. It can be done in versus race, but it would just be easier for that to be an option. For some reason, Nintendo likes to pick and choose whether they want to give us options or not. If I wanted to drive in a straight line the whole time, I'd just play Knockout Tour, which we'll get to in a sec. But also, it is the gimmick of the game technically, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe can also be played on the Switch too, so if you really don't want to go through all that, you can just play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But you're missing out on a lot of the banger tracks. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I've been playing this game for a decade and only now realizing this game does not look as good as we thought. At least the character models. At the time, sure, but now we got this, and it's really pretty and charming. It's not even the Booster Course Pass tracks that's like that, it's rough. Knockout Tour. Man, what a great addition. I was actually excited about this because, yeah, it's kind of like a Grand Prix transition where you don't do a full track until the very end, except it's a way longer drive, which means more straight lines, but it's a battle royale, which means it's good, actually, if the modern gaming landscape is anything to go by. Every time I played Knockout Tour, both online and off, it's been nothing but chaotic. Begging players to stop passing me, hitting me, knocking me off the track, finding me I'm trying to take a shortcut, taking my item boxes, taking my double item boxes they don't need, taking my items with a boo at the worst possible time, screw me over when the next phase is right in front of me. I try to hold back the slurs, but I don't know what it is. It's just trying to chase first place is difficult but really fun despite the fact that it makes me really upset. Well, that's Mario Kart for you, I guess. This is quite different from Grand Prix transitions, not only in the sense that it's longer, but also the variety in where the race is very different going from course to course. Instead of going from one desert to another desert, you can go from a desert to a plain to a snow to a train. That alongside just the add-on of having to get there at a certain placement, as well as it being a non-stop, no breaks in between races from one place to another, makes it so much more fun. And with an increased amount of racers, it makes sense that there'd be a new mode. And it's like the best thing ever. When I open this game, when I play online, when I play it with my friends, I mainly play Knockout Tour because I just really like it that much. And it easily beats transitioning from one track to just another track with potentially similar theming. My one major complaint, however, is there really shouldn't be only 8 of these rallies. There's like, what, 200 different routes you can take? Why do you gotta limit it to just 8? That's just stupid. Free roam is definitely a mixed bag for everyone in the sense that, was it needed? Is there enough in the world to justify its existence? Will this be better than the mission modes in Mario Kart DS? And you know what? I find free roam to be actually pretty good. Now, ignoring the collectibles for a bit, there is a pretty good amount of stuff here. You can drive off-road around the different tracks, obviously, but there are people, cars with people in them, other vehicles with people in them, and many different things trying to kill you everywhere. Sometimes there are even massive vehicles you can go into and wreak havoc on all the civilians minding their own business, GTA style. You can find other racers driving along the tracks too. You can find Nabbit in some places running around, but of course, most importantly, there are 3 different collectibles. Question mark panels reminiscent of the item boxes in Super Mario Kart. Driving over them will give you a sticker themed around the area you found it in, which can be put on your cart in the one piece you can barely see it. The one place you can barely see. God damn it, one piece. Peach medallions, which gives you a sticker themed around the area you found it in, which can be placed on your cart in the one place you can barely see it. Okay. And lastly, the most important one, despite the fact that it can't be tracked at all, is the P-switches, which give you a decent variety of different challenges for you, which includes collecting blue coins, going through rings, doing mini races, or avoiding enemies using the different mechanics of the game. Completing the challenge gives you a sticker themed around the area you found it in, which can be placed on your card in the one place you can barely see it. Okay, man. So, as fun as these collectibles are to acquire, having the one reward you get for doing them being a sticker themed around the area you found it in, which can be, it honestly kinda sucks. Especially when you consider that you get nothing for collecting everything. Not a pat on the back, not a high five, not even a good job. Nothing. Clearly, free roam wasn't that much of a priority. It was the intermissions that nobody else really cares about. There are a lot of challenges and things to collect, but the only thing you can get from them are stickers. And I suppose an easier way to get all the costumes, but that doesn't help it much. However, I just can't help but enjoy myself. The freedom to see these tracks outside of the confines, seeing how they all connect and seeing the cool tech I'm able to do. It's a blast. And even if you disagree with that, free roam is still easily the best part just for the music alone. Like, they really went above and beyond, including pretty much every Super Mario and Mario Kart game Nintendo developed. There aren't any tracks from the Mario sports games or RPGs, or other Mario games not developed in-house. But we do have one song from Donkey Kong Country and WarioWare, so it's not completely within their own bubble. There's literally a remix for the Mario drawing song, like from Flipnote Studio. The song you're hearing right now, this is official. Someone on the music team literally remembered it and remixed it, and it's amazing. The fact that there is over 200 of these songs are keeping Nintendo YouTubers like me fed for fed for decades. There really isn't much else I can say about the others besides they were made to perfection. I love them all. So if you call free roam trash, You're wrong. But you can't free roam on Rainbow Road, so maybe you aren't, I don't know. So I tried not to have the price of this game dampen my thoughts about it. But if you're gonna be the first $80 base game, I gotta judge it based on how much that price is actually worth paying. And so far, what I played, I don't think it quite hits that. There really isn't a lot to say about battle mode because it's honestly kinda disappointing to look at. Similar to how battle mode was overlooked in the original Mario Kart 8, there are only 2 real battle courses in World, while the rest are just parts of an area near a track. It's not exactly like how they did in 8 where it's just the track, because Mario Kart World allows them to take parts of a certain area, but those certain areas come from existing courses, which is why it's still disappointing. And you know what else? Only 2 battle modes? The same 2 that's been there for most of the game, sure, but how hard would it have been to bring back Bob on Blast at least? And also, the 2 real battle courses are just 2 circles with a hole in the middle. And also, they combine 2 Wii battle courses into 1. Which sounds cool on paper, but, like, how hard would it have been to just put a Thwomp there? There are a lot of battle courses you could have seamlessly incorporated into the world. Cookie Land or Tart Top would have fit very well next to Sky High Sundae. Pipe Pier could have been near Peach Stadium. Skyscraper would have been perfect for Crown City. You know how Acorn Heights primarily has sting bees around? Honeybee House from 7, in one of the trees, just right there. And how in the world is Delfino Pier not in this when you created an entire town next to Peach Beach, which already has the Isle Delfino motif? Literally any of the battle courses from Super or Super Circuit. Am I the only one who cares about battle mode here? And it doesn't end there. Mario Kart World is somehow also the first main game since Double Dash to not have at least 32 tracks. There's 30. Crown City and Peach Stadium are used twice with different layouts, which shouldn't count at all as a different track. And one version of each of them are easily better than the others, so really, what was the point here? How hard would it have been to just make the world a little larger and put 2 more tracks there? Actually, there are multiple challenges based off of Super Mario Kart tracks. Those could have been included right there! Koopa Biggs is literally a circle! I know it's kinda nitpicky, but it bothers me, okay? Like how there are 394 P-switches instead of a nice clean 400. Makes me mad! It just adds on to the thought that the only reason they made this 80 wasn't because this is the highest budget Nintendo game yet, hopefully, or market conditions, but because it's Mario Kart, and everyone will buy it either way. That's exactly why it's a launch title too. But at the end of the day, whether people think this is worth using their money on is their choice, and I won't go and harass people over it. I'll harass Nintendo for creating the new standard that will inevitably ruin the market even more. But one thing I will say though, is this is the best possible game they could have done it with. I like Mario Kart, so I was gonna get it cheaper with the bundle anyway, but if I was unlucky, it would have been hard for me to get it because there's really no way I could support this kind of thing. Even though my vote doesn't really matter, clearly. This probably isn't my favorite Mario Kart, but it definitely feels like one of the best ones. It's very different, but I respect it, and I believe it worked out quite well. And I'm really hoping they add more content to this game somehow, so it feels even better, because it really should have more. Although, knowing this company for as long as I have, there's no shot it's gonna be free. 200cc should have been free, but for some reason it isn't in the game, even though it would have been perfect for this. The one game where 200cc makes sense. What were they thinking?